Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's New Features webinar, where we'll be showcasing all of the new and exciting features that we've released this past month. My name is Tamar, and I am a customer experience advocate here at monday.com. We're just going to give everyone a few more minutes to join, and then we will start with an introduction and the agenda for today. Now, while we give everyone a moment to settle in, feel free to share in the chat where you are tuning in from and which industry you're working in. We'd love to know a bit more about who we're working with today. I see Boston. Great. Awesome. A lot of people joining in bright in the and early in the morning. Texas. I'm originally from the States as well, but I'm based here in Tel Aviv in the Monday headquarters at the moment. Cool. Nice. Well, thank you all for joining and for sharing where you're from. Now, before we begin, I'm just going to go over a few things. Audio will be through your computer speakers and able to see my screen and hear me. But if that's not the case at any point during the presentation, please let us know by writing in the chat box so we can get it resolved as quickly as possible. Now, today's session will be made up of two parts. First, we'll take a look at our new features in action, and then we'll move into a Q&A to answer your questions. We have a lot to cover today, so throughout the demo, please be sure to add your questions in the dedicated Q&A box at the bottom of the screen instead of in the general chat. And we will try to get to as many questions as we can. That said, there are a lot of us today, so if we don't get to your specific questions, feel free to check out our support articles and community.monday.com. I'll walk you through that at the end. And then it's most likely that someone else already asked your question and had it answered there. And if not, you can always reach out to us at support@monday.com. We're here 24/7 to answer your questions in various different channels of support. Now, finally, you will be emailed a recording of today's session within 3 business days, and we'll be adding it to our monday.com/webinars/on-demand page. And you will free to watch this recording there as well. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at today's agenda. So we have today custom cover photos for workspaces, quick starter for empty docs and copy inline option for docs, custom submit button in Workforms and workform improvements in mobile. And then we have, with permissions, we have some permission improvements, including a new look and feel for board permissions, role-based access control for enterprise users, permissions to control who can move and delete items, admin capabilities, customized fields and user profiles are now available for export. We have added the ability to batch action, add or remove user profiles to a team. And we are very excited to introduce the new Jira integration, as well as the app of the month, DocuGen, and lastly, our Q&A session. Now, before we begin, I would like to note that the majority of this month's new features take place outside of the board interface. So rather than walking you through these exciting improvements with a sample workflow, I will be keeping it simple and demonstrate each feature one by one, as well as through some slides. I also wanted to mention that several of these features, such as role-based access control, are only available on our enterprise plans. Additionally, certain admin capabilities may not be applicable to everyone joining us today, so please bear with me as I go through them. Now with that, let's go ahead and jump over to my monday.com account. Here. Perfect. Okay. Now to get started, we're going to take a look at a simple yet exciting enhancement to Workspaces. Workspaces allow you to have different dedicated sections for each of your teams while allowing everyone to work in one account. This means that each team can concentrate on what's relevant to them while still enabling collaboration. Now, you can decide how to split your account. So, for example, you can have your workspaces represent clients or different projects. For me, I just have different subjects, but whatever is more intuitive for you and your team. Now, I'm going to open up one of my workspaces. Let's say you want to display at a glance who or what this workspace is all about. You can not only customize the avatar of the workspace, I'm not sure if everyone knows this, it's been around for a little while, but you can upload your own photo to the avatar of your workspace. But now you have the option to do that for the workspace cover as well. We already had these options to choose from any of these default options, but now we can upload your own. Now, this will allow you to display your client's logo, photo of the team, or artwork, making you feel at home in your workspace. I'm just going to go ahead and add my cover. You can go ahead and adjust it. For example, in my team's workspace, I want everyone to be able to see the members of this workspace right away. So I'm just going to go ahead and post a recent photo. You can just adjust it over here. Let's see whose face ends up popping up. Now, it's important to note that this option is only available in the workspaces that you are the owner of. Okay, well, it's a little bit short, but you get the picture. Now, while I'm here, I would like to point out that a recent change that we made to the workspace avatar. So if you see here, we have a little lock key. So now main and closed workspaces have the icon on the avatar photo rather than next to it, making it more noticeable at first glance. Previously, the lock was on the same link as the title of the workspace. It was right here, and it wasn't as clear. Okay, now that we got that, we're going to move on to our Workdoc feature. I told you we're really jumping around today. I'm going to just open up a regular Workdoc. Now, Workdocs are an essential place for you and your team to collaborate, brainstorm, plan, and execute. Not only can we @mention teammates, so to let you know, you can just @mention anyone on my team. I'll mention my little doggy here. But you can add certain tools such as your board. You can add several different widgets. Here I've added my calendar widget. I've added a battery widget over here. This is really helpful because it gives another layer of context for your team collaboration. And most importantly, the data inside the blocks from your board will always be live and up to date. So for example, here, if I go ahead and change a status that is embedded within my Workdoc, that will be reflected even in my battery widget that I already have added to my Workdoc. And another really cool option that you have here is that we've added the ability to now customize the background of your Workdoc for further personalization. So for example, if I go over and press style, I can turn on the option to add a cover image. We really want you to be able to customize your workspaces today. You can choose from the default options here we have in the Monday library. We are planning on adding the option to upload your own photo, but that is not available just yet. Now, as some of you know, you can add a Workdoc by going to the plus add button right here on the top and selecting new doc. You can also add Workdocs though by going to your file column, selecting the plus, and you can add a Workdoc directly from here. You see you have the option to select new doc. I'm going to go ahead and add a new doc from add plus button. Now, do you ever open a new board and you don't know where to begin? You search the template store for inspiration, something clicks, and you immediately get a better idea of what you're looking for. We get it. Starting from a blank page can be time-consuming and not intuitive, and we want to make your workflows as efficient as possible. Thus, we're happy to introduce a similar template feature to help you get started with your Workdocs. Now, if you're like me and you suffer from writer's block when faced with a blank white screen, our new quick starters for Workdocs are exactly what we've been waiting for. Not only will these templates help you organize your thoughts and collaborate with your team, but will make your lives so much easier by allowing you to focus on your content rather than spending time setting up your docs over and over again. Now, we currently offer 5 quick starters. I'm just going to zoom in a tiny bit so you can see a little bit better. We have a little preview of each one. We have meeting notes, we have a to-do list, project plan, marketing brief, and feature specs. And of course, you always have the option to start from scratch with a blank slate. Now, another cool feature here is that even when you add a Workdoc from your board, file column, you can select new doc. And you have all of these options here as well. Now, I'm going to move on to our next 2 enhancements to Workdocs. Let's go over to the new doc that I just created. I'll just head over here. Now, are there any coders tuning in today? You feel free to emoji in the chat box if anyone here is often coding, using their platform for coding or. Okay, got a few. Great. So you will definitely find these features particularly exciting as writing code inside Docs has been improved in 2 ways. So first, we've added a much needed copy code for the code block. So you can simply just select copy rather than having to select all the text. Move on to the next line. And then you can easily copy your code block. Another amazing feature that we've added to Workdocs is the ability to add inline code in 3 different ways. One is through a keyboard shortcut, just through Command-Shift-C, and you can start writing your line of code. Let's say, I'm not a coder myself, but I can try to fake it. Okay, there we go. Another option is to just write some text, and you can highlight it and turn it into inline code. Now, the third option is using backticks. Do this again. Perfect. And it turns all of your text into inline code without needing to use any other features. Now, hopping right along to our next new feature, let's go ahead and open up a work form. I have this right over here. Perfect. Now, you may have heard the news that we've released a brand new product called Workforms for making insights actionable. We are just as excited about it as you are. With Monday Workforms, you can create and use custom forms to collect, track, and analyze data while automatically syncing with your monday.com boards and workflows. For those of you already familiar with this feature, have you ever created an awesome work form and the submit button seems too mundane to do it justice? For all the detail-oriented folks, this enhancement has been made with you in mind. I'm happy to share that we've now added the ability to customize the button to measure up to the creativity and personalization that you bring to your forms. By heading to Edit Form and Customize, you now have the option, just right over here, under View Customization. Instead of just a boring submit button, we can change this to, let's say, sign me up. Perfect. Now, on an almost related note, we've also added the ability to fill in forms from within the monday.com mobile app. This is one of our most highly requested mobile features aimed at bridging the gap between field people and the rest of us sitting close to a computer most of the day. Another cool fact here is that the creation log column also works. So you can see who filled the item on the board if they're from their phone, if they're part of your account, of course. Now, the feature is rolled out on iOS as a version 4.60.1 and on Android as a version 4.93.0. Now, a few limitations that I want to mention here. It is not possible to edit your form from within the mobile app, and it's not possible to create the form originally from the mobile app. It has to be done from the web. Now, another cool feature here that we've added, though, is to see a preview of what your form will look like on a mobile device simply from the form editor. Just go ahead and click Mobile Preview, and this is what it would look like to anybody else who is accessing it from their phones. And see, we've already changed the button over here. Perfect. Okay, moving on, I'd like to now share some improvements to permissions. I'm going to go back to my board. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with permissions, these are limitations you can apply to prevent certain people from doing certain things on your account. Now, there are 3 categories of permissions that I will mention today. We have board permissions affecting a particular board, workspace permissions applying across a workspace, and account permissions, which would apply across an account. The latter 2 are only applicable to enterprise customers, so if those are not relevant to you, we won't be spending too much time on them. So just bear with me while I go through them. These improvements are relevant to some of you. Now let's start with board permissions, which are available on all of our plans, and it gives the owner of the board control over which information can be changed or viewed on the board level. Now I'm going to go ahead and open up board permissions. So previously you had to hover over each of these options to see what the exact parameters of the permissions were, which led to some confusion over what the members of your board could and could not do on your board. We have now changed the description of the editing permissions, as well as included this permission summary information box. which allows you to review the implications of each level of board permissions as you select it from the list. For example, the edit content without changing its structure. Previously read edit content, which led to some confusion. This option permits members of the board to add and delete items, but not columns, as this would entail a change to the board's structure. Now, when I select this option, I can clearly see what the board members can and cannot do on my board. And I also wanted to mention that a non-board owner can actually view this section as well, so that everyone can be on the same page as to the limitations when they interact with the board. So as you can see over here, we have a little lock. This says that there is permissions in place, and any user, even regardless of whether or not they're an owner, can go and view the permission settings. It just enables and collaboration and clarifies within your team what they cannot and cannot do. Now, let's move on to account and workspace permissions. So account and workspace permissions are found on our enterprise plan and provide the ability to control and manage who can use certain features in your account. I'm just going to head over to my admin settings so I can just open that up under permissions. Now, we have just released a new permissions category called items, which can be configured for the account or workspace. You can see this right over here. I'm going to actually zoom in for a moment just so we don't miss it. Right here, we've added this section. Now, these permissions were a highly requested feature due to the prevalence of accidentally deleted or moved items. Now, both the account and workspace admin have a higher level of control over what can and cannot be deleted. Up until now, you could only control item deletion on the board level, as I showed before in the board permission section. But here's what it looks like from the admin settings. You can see it right over here. The admin can make this decision across the account, who can delete or not or move items. Now I just want to show you on the workspace permission settings, so just bear with me. And this is from the workspace permission settings. So if I were to go ahead and select delete self-created items, the workspace owner can now no longer delete self-created items. Okay, this is just for the demo. I want to show you how this works. Let's go over to new features. So if I wanted to go ahead right now and delete, let's say item 5. Go back here. Sorry, one moment. There we go. So if I were to go ahead and delete self-created items, and then I go back to my board, and let's say I want to go ahead and delete this item, it will show up as you cannot delete items in your workspace. So this is what any user will see if they do not have the permission to delete items. Okay, perfect, glad that worked. Now, the last permissions feature I want to introduce is role-based access control, which will change how permissions are managed on our platform. So finally, permissions can be managed role by role on our enterprise accounts. Let's head over back to my admin settings under permissions. I'm going to show you what this looks like again. So we're back here again. So as you can see here, the admin can use their admin settings. They can set certain permissions for each level of user. So for example, for members, they can decide whether or not they can create main boards or private boards. A really helpful addition is that viewers and guests can now be blocked from exporting data to Excel. So as a highly requested feature, because guests and viewers can sometimes be external to your account, and the ability to export data was an issue. Now, as you can see here, the account roles are defined by the user type. So we have admin, member, viewer, and guests. Whereas in the workspace, let me just head back there. Whereas in the workspace, we see the permissions as workspace owner, member, and non-member. I'm going to give myself this permission back. Okay, perfect. Okay, now since we're going all out with the new admin capabilities this month, we're going to head back to my admin settings and open up the user management tab this time. I'm going to just head back there. Lots of hopping around today, so thank you guys for your patience. So I'm happy to share that the new enhancements that I will introduce right now are available on all plan tiers. Now, as most of you are aware, each user on your account has the ability to customize their monday.com experience from the My Profile section of their account. So I can go ahead and click at any of my users. They can fill out their title, the location, birthday. And this is really helpful for the admin to keep track of all of this information. They can later export this to Excel. And I want to show you what we've recently added under customization. The admin of the account can now customize these fields when a user fills out their profile. So they can add new custom fields. For example, let's say you want to know if your employees have any allergies, or you want to know their preferred working hours or preferred shift or something, preferred shifts. Whatever you want, you can choose it directly from here, and you can also remove them as you would like. Just make sure to select Save Changes. And now say as the account admin, you need an Excel file of all your users' information. You want to have everyone's birthdays and locations in one place. Outside of your board, you can just head over to your users, and we have the ability to download to Excel. Now, all this information, even the custom fields, are available for export. Previously, there were certain limitations, such as location. This was missing from the export from the user management section, and we have made that available now. Now, another major improvement to admin capabilities. We're still going on here. All right, just one moment, please. I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay. All right, there we go. Another major improvement to admin capabilities is the new option to use batch actions to add or remove members from teams. So for anyone not familiar with Teams, creating teams allow you to easily notify, update, subscribe, assign tasks, and chat with teammates throughout your account, all in one go. This feature really highlights what we're all about here at monday.com by improving transparency, communication, and efficiency within your account. I'm just going to take a pause here so I can open up my team section. Now, managing teams, however, was not exactly efficient as it required each member to be added or removed one at a time. But now admins can add or remove multiple users to or from a team in one single action. Some of you with large teams have been requesting this feature for a while, and we're happy to finally provide you with a smoother experience. Now, the new feature enables admins to more easily manage users based on their teams, allowing you to add or remove multiple users to or from a team, which is really helpful to keep everything organized and maintain your departments. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add a new team just so I can show you how this works. Let's just call this our dream team. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the user management section. And now I can go ahead and use batch actions. I'm going to select several team members, let's say. My board is getting cut out. I'm going to select manage teams, and then I can add users to a team, and my new team is now selected. Perfect. And then I can go ahead if I, change my mind and I want to remove anyone from the team or someone left the company or that specific team, I can just go ahead and I can manage teams, remove users from the team. Perfect. Really so much easier. This new feature is going to save a lot of admins a lot of time. Now, almost done here. We're moving on to integrations. Let's head back to my board. I'm excited to introduce you to our Jira integration 2.0. I know this is not going to be relevant for everyone here today, so I will keep this brief, and do hang in there as we have got our app of the month to show you as well. Now, you might ask, what was wrong with the old integration? Well, there was nothing wrong per se, but rather there were several pain points. I'm just going to jump back to my slides. Perfect. Now, previously, only an admin with global permissions could set up integrations, or you needed to get the token from the admin to set it up. So people would run around and pass around the token so that they can access Jira, but they couldn't actually set up for themselves without admin permissions. Previously, team managed projects were not supported, only personal projects. fields were limited and complicated. And our product team took these pain points to heart and focused their efforts on creating a new and improved integration, which you can try out directly from the integration center of your account. I'm going to head back to my account again and open up the integration center. Just search Jira. Sorry about that. We'll open this up right here. You'll see the beta Jira app by monday.com is going to show up right under here. Now, this app, which is still in beta, can be accessed directly from your integration center. Just select the app and you are going to connect your account. I've already connected my account, so I'm just going to skip this step. And once you select on it, the most important factor here is that there is only one integration recipe, and you can modify it to fit your workflow rather than choosing to either push information from Monday to Jira or vice versa. Now, this unified recipe template replaces the need for 2 separate recipes with different mapping, giving you more control over how the data is displayed in Monday and in Jira. Now, once you choose the direction of the sync, the rest of the field options will adjust accordingly, so you can see the change in terminology. I can explain this, I can show this to you right here. When I select sync, I can choose to either push information from Jira to Monday or from Monday to Jira, and you can also decide to change the direction later on. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to first choose from Jira to Monday. Next, the login flow has been simplified, reducing the friction in setting up the integration. As I mentioned earlier, it was really difficult to have to go track down the token, but we've moved from token authentication to OAuth, meaning that there's much easier setup. Non-admins in Jira are able to set up the integration, and it aligns integration permission with the permissions of the user who created it. Whereas in the old integration, all integrations had admin permission. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to select my account, and then I'm going to select my project. Now, when selecting the project, you now have the option to choose team managed projects as well. This was a barrier in the past, and it was inconsistent with our collaborative platform. I'm going to go ahead and just choose a random project here. And now once you select this type, you can choose your task or epic depending on which way the integration is going. And you can choose from more fields as well as custom entities. I can choose all directly from here based on what I have in my project. And lastly, in addition to the current integration, the new Jira integration now supports additional fields. It supports the person column. I can go ahead and select column from Jira, and I have the option to put it in a file column, and I can change the direction as I go along, which is super helpful. Now we also have Jira Sprint, including a start date and end date. We have Jira Epic, including Epic Assignee, component. We have custom entities. Sorry about that. The new mapping component enables you to configure the direction of syncing on the field level. So you can see here, I can continuously add parent name. You can map them one by one according to how you want them to show up in Monday or in Jira. I'm going to get out of here. Now, if you're an avid user of Jira, I strongly recommend checking out the new beta app and experiencing the new and improved experience firsthand. I'm going to get out. Now, before we finish, I would like to introduce our app of the month available for download from our apps marketplace. I'm going to head over to our apps marketplace. Now, if you're new to the platform, with the apps marketplace, you can find ready-made apps to expand the capabilities of the monday.com platform and fit the unique needs of your business's workflows, processes, and projects. The apps marketplace contains apps developed by third-party developers, as well as apps built by the Monday team using the apps framework. Now, our app of the month, I'm going to open that up. Sorry, DocAgent. Now, DocAgent was built by Cloud Concept, a premier partner of ours since 2017. This app enables you to generate templated documents using the fields on your board at the click of a button. So once you would select Use App, templates are going to be added to your account. I'm just going to go ahead to my account. I've downloaded them already to save some time. And I will show you how this looks within my DocAgent view. So I've added this view. The next step would be to go over to select More Views, search DocAgent. You can open that in your board. And then you will be prompted to this document generator. And once you select generate document, you can choose to use your own templates or one of the templates that DocuGen provides for you. And you can extract the data from your board and create legal documents or medical documents. You can send NDAs, proposals, invoices. You can send these letters directly via email. So as you see here, I have my DocuGen view already created, and then I will have an additional document sent to my my email or any email address of anyone I would like to send it to. Okay, done with that. And lastly, DocuGen is ideal for HIPAA compliant accounts, making it a great way to send medical documents directly to patients from your board. Again, if this app isn't of interest to you, but you want to see what else is on offer, I highly recommend checking the marketplace out and the different amazing apps which are available there. Now, one thing to note is that only admins can add apps to your account. Okay, now, right before we move to our Q&A, I want to introduce you to our monday.com Academy and our community page. So I'll start right here with the Academy. Now, this is a place to explore a variety of courses and webinars to level up your monday.com skills. You'll find everything from how to build workflows or work within your team's account to how to become a better monday.com admin and so much more. And for our community, open that up. I'm sure many of you are familiar. Here's where you can post questions and learn from monday.com users and product experts. You can search by topic, posts, categories. It's really a helpful way to get started. An important thing to note here, we get this question a lot via support, is that you will need to sign up for an account as if you're signing up for a social media account. Whereas with you wouldn't be able to just log in using your monday.com account. So I hope this explains that. Now we are going to move on to the Q&A. And before we do, we're going to take a 5-minute break to grab some water, add your questions if you haven't had the chance. So please be sure to add them in the Q&A box rather than the chat. I'm going to go ahead and go through your questions during this short time, and I'll give you a chance to add any last-minute questions that came up over the last 30 minutes. Okay, and we are back. Thank you all for adding your questions. Very interesting questions here, and I'm hoping that I can get to as many as I can. So I'm going to start off with Workdocs. So I'll open up a Workdoc. Let's see what we were working on before. So somebody had asked if there's ever going to be the option to highlight text and then use that to add a comment. This is a highly requested feature. We don't have that just yet. But there is another option that I have available to you. I'll just show you how this works. I'm going to open up, let's say, meeting notes. And if I just want to, let's just add, some text here. You don't have the option to add a comment. You can add you actually can add a little quotation here. So you can sort of add this comment here, but you don't have the same option as you have in Google Doc to like create edits automatically. But I do understand how helpful that feature can be. I'll definitely pass that along. Now, someone had asked why use a Workdoc instead of a board. The reason here is sometimes you want this layout structure. You want to have a list and you don't want to have to open up different updates, for example, to get all the information from there. And boards can be a little lengthy. So rather than having a conversation in a board structure, this gives you another option. And as I showed you before, you can link this doc to your board and you can link your board to the doc. So it just keeps everything in context. As I mentioned here, you can add you can add a board, you can add a widget, just a little bits and pieces. So you can create sort of a high level list or a workable doc for everyone to sort of collaborate on. It's really up to your preferences and whether or not it is helpful to your team's workflows. Now, someone had asked a really important question that I'd like to answer about work forms. So as I showed you in my account, I have downloaded work forms, which basically replaced the regular forms. Now, forms, it's a product, but you can actually access this directly from the web. Go to workforms.com. You can get started. It's free. So just select that. And then you will be prompted to log into your account. I have many accounts. You'll be prompted to log into your account. Let's say I want to add it to my CRM account. Okay, it's not working right at this moment. There we go. So this will automatically open my account and add work forms. So I've just added this to one of my accounts. Perfect. So I hope it's helpful. So far, we do have a free version available. So I would really recommend trying it out and seeing if you want to upgrade eventually. Someone had asked to so someone had asked if a person can add views. So there is no way to restrict who can create views or who can view certain views. So the reason being, once a user is invited to your board, depending on your plan, like Enterprise, for example, has the option to use item viewing permissions, which would restrict item view for each person to only the items that are assigned to you. But if you wanted to restrict a certain view, that wouldn't actually be possible, and it also wouldn't be so intuitive, because the idea is that any data that or information that the users have access to on the main table, the different views are just a different way of viewing the data. So you would have to restrict that data on the board level, as opposed to restricting that data by view. So they can also, even if they don't have edit permissions, they can choose to view the data in a different way. If they decide they wanted to add a dashboard, or they wanted to view the information on your board in a Gantt chart, for example, that's just the same data in a different format. I hope this explains it. This seems logical to me, but I understand every different person has a different experience with this. Is there a way to chat on the platform? No, we do not have a way to chat, but by mentioning your team members in an update, they can get this directly here. You can also integrate. So let's say, for example, I mentioned someone, they would get it directly in their notifications, and then you can set up Slack notifications, for example, and they can get a chat through Monday via Slack, if that's helpful to you. Okay, someone had asked, how do I find the Academy? You can locate the Academy directly from the question mark on the bottom left corner. Just select Academy. Another person asked when the sub-item summaries on the parent item are going to be usable in calculations. So actually this is supported. You can use summaries and parent items. It's going to take me some time to set this up, so I don't want to sidetrack, but I would highly recommend writing it to support, because it is definitely possible to reference it in a summary, in a formula, but it's not as going to be as flexible as you would like. Now, someone asked when you're able to make automations from mirrored columns. So another thing, mirrored columns are supported in automations. They're limited. They're of limited support. So if you go over to, for example, to the Automation Center, they're only supported in automations that have status change as a trigger. So for example, when status changes to something, you can choose a sub-item status, but if you have a mirror column on your board, you would be able to choose the mirrored status as well. But they're not available in custom automations, and they're not available as an action. So you can't change a mirror column via an action, but we do have some external apps that can help you with that. You can try General Caster or Mirror Caster. It might be super helpful. Someone had said, my permissions are all set to admin being able to add docs. I'm an admin and it won't allow me to create a doc. So I'm wondering if this issue is based on the workspace permissions. So let's go back to the workspaces. Even though if you're an admin and you have the permission to create docs, you don't have the permission necessarily to create a doc in a private workspace that you are not the owner of. So for example, if we go to members, a workspace owner is demarcated by a crown. So if you are not a workspace owner, then you would not be able to, or if you haven't been invited to a workspace, you wouldn't be able to create a doc within that workspace, or any boards for that matter, if that's restricted under the permissions by the workspace owner. So for example, the workspace owner can basically prevent this directly from here. They can decide you can't create main docs. I would definitely recommend reaching out to the workspace owner in this setting. Okay, someone else had asked another question about if it's possible to choose which board you want to get notifications from. So this is actually a new feature that we've just added under more actions. Sorry, board notifications right here. You can choose to mute all of the board notifications. You can choose to mute on the board level places where you were to only receive notifications where you were mentioned or assigned, or you can choose to receive all notifications from this board, and you can do this board by board. This is super useful because previously you had to manage your notifications from your profile directly here. You have the ability to manage your email notifications and your Monday notifications, as well as your Slack notifications from here. But with email notifications, it got a bit tedious, so I've unchecked them all for myself. And in Monday, and the admin also had the option to turn off, I'll just go over to my admin sections, to turn off the notifications for any of their users. So you have access to your users management sections. Let's open up notification section. So you can change the email notifications here, but for notifications within Monday, you can manage that actually on the board level now, which is a really helpful new feature. Okay, perfect. Now, someone asked if they could see my work. Yeah, I can certainly show you my work. My work is a really great feature to see all of your tasks that you have coming up. And what's really helpful about this this feature is that, first of all, it is built in, so you don't have to set it up or create any sort of structure here. But what's great about it is how much you can customize it. I can just focus in on one person's tasks. I can choose to see only my own tasks. You can customize which boards you want to see. You can also choose which status column you would like. I'm just waiting for it to load, and which date column. And you can also choose to see your done items or to hide your done items from here. Sorry, this is taking a while to load, so I'm just going to move on to the next question. Someone had asked, what is the benefit of signing up for the community when else you can search? Yeah, so you can definitely search. Great question. So I wanted to show you the limitation here. I'm happy that you asked this question so I can clarify. So if I go over to the Monday community and I see a question, let's say, I want to see link column query, we get this a lot. So if I'm like responding back to this question, or I have my own post, I have to basically sign up if I want to ask a question or answer a question. I can read it. I have a read-only version without signing up for an account, but I do not have the option to post a question or even to upvote. You see over here how we have, when you have feature requests in the community, you can upvote. You don't see this right here. You see the option to add your votes. You would need to have an account to be able to do so. And it just helps it be more communicative. Like I mentioned before, it's basically like signing up for a social media platform. Someone had asked for a project sign-off or approval form to use Workdocs, DocuGen. So this is a great question. We get this a lot. We do have a really great template for approvals. I can just show that to you in the template center. Okay, so we have a project request and approval template. That's super helpful. You can customize it to fit your own purpose, obviously, but I just want to show you what this looks like. Bear with me for a moment. So this approvals workflow, it starts with, a regular project request. So let's say you have this out here, you have a suggestion, and then once it's on the main table, you can decide if it's, approved or under consideration. But if you need to send this to somebody, let's say outside of your account, you can actually go ahead and use an integration. You can use an integration over here. You can send the form link via integration. I'm just trying to brainstorm of how you can use this template, but I would definitely probably recommend keeping track of your approvals using a form as well as a board for the responses, so you can keep track of it all in one place. Let's see, one other question. Now, someone had asked, is there a way to create a two-way sync, Google Calendar sync? So I would really recommend that you write into support about this, because I'd like to take a closer look. But I would be happy to show you, just to make sure that you have all of the formats in place. This is another question that we get a lot. We've made recent improvements to the Google Calendar integration. So I'll show you ahead on this demo board. Sorry, it's maybe a little slow. Okay, so we can just, let's say if we just go over here, I'm going to add start date and an end date. Now this is the way that the Google Calendar integration previously worked, where you had to have a time and a start date and an end date. We've recently changed this, and I'm wondering if this may be what is causing the issue, but I'll just show you over here how I can map these fields with the time, and then we can just choose. Always keep a time option on. And I will just do a really quick overview of how we can set this up. 24. Okay, I'll just put some random days in here. You can go over to your integration center. Let's head to Google Calendar. So if you want to create a two-way sync, you're going to want to set up two integrations. You're not going to want to use the sync option from within your board. We've recently, we don't really recommend using it. It's pretty outdated. Setting up the integration just gives you way more control of how your items are mapped and when an item is created. So what I would recommend, if you want to sync your Google Calendar to your Monday board both ways, I would recommend setting up when an item is created or updated to create an event in Google Calendar, and then to do the same the other way around. When an event is created in Google Calendar, create an item and sync future changes from Google Calendar. So you're going to go ahead, choose your account, and then you would open up the item. And from here, this is basically pulling things from Google Calendar. So these are the fields within Google Calendar. And these are, I'm going to choose the options from within my board. So I have a lot of flexibility here. I can choose which group I want to map it into. I can choose what I want to show up in the item update section. Let's say I want the description to show up in the update section. The name, I'm going to choose the title. I can just go ahead and map this like this. You just want to make sure that you have all of the correct fields selected. And you shouldn't have any issue creating items back and forth. It's just when we get this question a lot, it's that people haven't actually, they perhaps are mapping the item incorrectly, or they've only set up a one-way sync, or that they're using the old integration. And then you would do the same the other way around. That is just a really quick overview. Now, the work form, someone asked about the submit, the work forms, if that's the only change. Let's go back to the forms. Well, we do have the custom submit button. So as I mentioned before, we've added also the ability to have a mobile preview. After submission, you can choose, I'm not sure if you're familiar with these yet, but you can choose a custom title. So instead of thank you, you can choose something else. You can choose to hide the success image so you don't have any bouncing cup. You can change in the builder settings. If you're already aware of this, please bear with me. I'm just going to explain anyway. Over here, we have the option to choose which group you want the answers to be populated in, which is really helpful. Another important feature to look into here is with the update section. Sometimes you want to add the update question in your form. That's really helpful. Another issue is that people sometimes don't want their name to be, they want the name of the person to be the first title, and you can customize that here as well. Okay, someone had also asked why they cannot delete sub items. It was an update that we made a couple months ago, but sub items are now a built-in feature in your board, so there is no way to delete them once you've added them. Let's just show a quick text. Sub item 1, and then I'll just assign some things here. So we have basically removed the ability to get rid of sub items, and the reason being is that sub items, sorry, take a step back for a second. To introduce a higher functionality to sub items, such as in formulas and in integrations and automations, we are not treating them more as items. So as you know, you were used to be able to just remove sub items, but sub items have almost all of the same capabilities as items. And this is great. A lot of users need this granularity in their workflow, and this is the direction that we're going in terms of sub items. So this is why you're no longer able to remove them. You do have the ability, it won't remove them, but you do have the ability to filter by sub items, so you can actually have like a greater use for sub items. So for example, if I switch to advanced filters, I can choose where, let's say, name, let's say where client type is new, and then I can choose a sub item as well, and let's say we're sub item owner. Okay, and go ahead, save that as a new view. And this kind of just allows me to use a sub item and reference it within the filters, which is super helpful. So another feature that we have has been highly requested. So someone had asked what are the main difference between work forms and the standard forms. That's a great question. We get this a lot. So the work forms are a product. So we have different levels of capabilities. And another great feature that we have here with work forms is that you can customize it a bit more than you can with regular forms. And it's a product that enables you to use conditional questioning. So you can just basically use the form builder and conditional questioning directly from your from this view. But if you would like to continue to use the old form view, they are very similar. Also, if you go over to the work forms page, you have some templates to choose from. It's a bit more artistic. So I think if you really like to put a lot of energy into your forms, if you're using it for marketing, for example, like we can go out here, we can choose a contact us form and use a template. Okay, well, I will allow you all to check this out for yourself. It's taking a while to load. Okay, now let's see. Let's get back to my board. Someone had asked for a link to the monday.com Academy. So I can just drop that here. Okay. Someone had asked if you can, is there a place to have more boards open, just such as in a separate window, so you can to see two boards at the same time? That is a really good question. It's not possible within one window, so you would actually need to open up two separate windows. But I do have a workaround here where you can add, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this. We can add a dashboard. And if you want to view two boards side by side, you can just go ahead. Sorry, so late in my data. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to add two boards, let's say. And I'm going to add a table widget. It's taking a while to load because of the screen share, but if you wanted to view two of your boards either side by side or within one conglomerated board, I would strongly recommend using a table widget. You can adjust filters accordingly. If you see here, I have both of my boards. So let's say I want to view them in one widget, I can do that. And if I only want to view one board in one widget and one board in another widget, I can adjust that in the settings. So I can just select which board I want. And I can keep my client intake form board over here. And then I can add a new table widget. And then I can use this one for my other board. So this is how you can view your boards side by side. Anyway, that concludes today's session. I tried to get through as many as I could. Your questions were great. Thank you so much for participating and for attending today's webinar. And if you had any questions that we didn't get to, I strongly recommend writing into support. We offer phone calls, screen shares. Again, post your question in the Academy, sign up for an account if you would like. In the community. We are here 24/7 to help you. We just want you to make the most of your subscriptions, and we are so happy to have you here in the monday.com family. Have a great night, morning, afternoon, everybody. Thank you.